Suicide Prevention Month was in September, but the mission to prevent suicides continues 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
So I stand here today in the lobby of the 88th Readiness Division headquarters with a powerful display behind me that shows the boots and the shoes of 17 individuals who have lost their lives through suicide.
While suicides in the 19-state footprint of the 88th Readiness Division continue to occur, not all the news is bad.
The good news is that this year's numbers are about half of what they were last year. So we have lost about half as many people, which is still too many.
Major Mike Wikstrom is an Army Reserve chaplain and the Civilian Suicide Prevention Program Manager for the 88th. He agrees with Daniels.
The good news is that a lot of these identifying factors and a lot of the efforts that are going towards suicide prevention are working. The Army Reserve has had a low number of suicides this past year compared to previous years.
Taking the time to listen to soldiers who are willing to talk about their suicidal thoughts or ideations is a key element in the fight.
Over the past 12 months, there have been over 1,500 suicidal ideations across the Army Reserve. And of that number, almost 600 of those have come from the 88th RD's footprint.
While suicide ideations can be bad, they are also indicators that can be leveraged in suicide prevention.
That's a good news story, and that's a good sign, because when we have suicide ideations, that means that the individual that's struggling has enough faith in his friends or her friends, their command, that they're willing to reach out and say, hey, I need help. I'm struggling with this stuff.
And that triggers a process called the Commander's Critical Incident Report, or the CCIR.
And a CCIR is done at the first chain of command level, and it is sent up through the Emergency Operations Center. And from there, it ends up notifying Chaplain's Corps, it notifies the Suicide Prevention Program Managers, it notifies the Directorate of Psychological Health, which each our Readiness Division has, and then a nurse case manager is assigned to that individual, and a whole number of resources come together to help that soldier with whatever that they're struggling with.
This also shows the importance of a connection to others, which is backed by suicide prevention research.
Connectedness is one of the big key protective factors that we see. So when you see a soldier that's struggling, don't be afraid to reach out.
Being on the lookout for isolating behavior in your friends may save them.
Every time there's a suicide or suicide attempt, we all have that case where I wish I would have said something. I saw them say this, or I heard her say that, or I saw him do this. Don't be afraid to actually intercede and interject and say, hey, I care.
When a suicide does occur in the ranks, it affects everyone.
So as a commander, a loss of any life is just devastating. The loss to the families, the loss to the units, the friends, and how do we help others not go that route? That's where we need to keep after it, keep trying to help those who find themselves in a challenge, who find themselves in a crisis, who find themselves feeling alone, to help them get that care and attention that they need to solve whatever is their problem.
If asking your friend that very important question scares you, then ask it another way.
And so don't be afraid to ask about suicide. And if that's a word that just really eats at you, if I were to ask you, hey, is life so overwhelming you feel like you can't go on? That's a question you're going to get an answer to. And if they say, yeah, I feel that way, what are we talking about? We're talking about suicide.
Sergeant First Class John Freese, 88th Readiness Division.